Hey students, this is lesson 8.2. In this lesson we're going to learn how to multiply a monomial by a polynomial and how to factor a monomial from a polynomial. Alright, go ahead and do the review here and I'll check back with you. All right, first thing we're going to do is learn how to multiply a monomial and a trinomial. And this is really just a distributive property, so nothing new here. Just you have to remember to use the properties of exponents correctly as you do this. So we're going to multiply x squared times 3x to the third, and that is when you're multiplying exponents with the same base, you add them, so that'll be 3x to the fifth. And then we're going to multiply x squared times negative 2x squared. And that's going to be negative 2 times, remember that coefficient is 1. Then we're going to add 2 plus 2 is 4. And then the last term will be x squared times 8, which is just 8x squared. So let's look for that one there. 3x to the fifth minus 2x to the fourth plus 8x squared. Go ahead, you try that. I'll check back with you. All right, the greatest common factor we need in order to write a polynomial as some monomial times a polynomial, which we call factoring. We need to know what the greatest common factor is. So we have to look at the terms 6x to the third and 12x squared and 18x. And what we need to do is we need to find the greatest factor of the variables that of each of those. And we also need to find the greatest common factor of the coefficients, 6, 12, and 18. And you can use factor trees to do that if you want. 6 is 2 times 3, right? 12 is 2 times 2 times 3. And 18 is 2 times 3 times 3. And the way you find the greatest common factor is you just take what prime factors they have in common. We have a 2 and a 3 in each of these, so that would be the greatest common factor of the coefficients, and that's 6. So 6 goes into 6, 6 goes into 12, 6 goes into 18, and there isn't a bigger number. And then the greatest variable factor is this. Remember, this is x times x times x. This is x times x, and this is just times x. So the greatest factor of x that goes into all of them is just one of those. So 6x is the greatest common factor of the term 6x to the third, 12x squared, and 18x. Go ahead, you try that. All right, now that we know how to find the greatest common factor of the terms, we can reverse the distributive property and factor out the monomial. And we're going to try and factor out the greatest common factor of the terms. So again, we have 6x to the third, so we have 6, and we have 15x squared, negative 15x squared, and 12x. So looking at the factors without the negatives, we have a 2 and a 3, and then we have 3 x's. We have a 3 and a 5 here, and 2 factors of x. We have a 2, 2 2's, a 3, and an x here. So if we take all those together, what all of them have in common is a 3 and an x. Okay, so we are going to rewrite this using the distributive property as 3x times some polynomial. And to figure that out, we really are just dividing each of these factors by 3x. So if I divide 6 by 3, I get 2, and x to the third divided by x to the first. Remember, you subtract power, so that would be x to the second. And to check that, you would just say 3 times 2 equals 6, and x squared times x equals x to the third. All right? Minus 15 divided by 3 is 5, and x squared divided by x is x. Again, make sure that x times x equals x squared, and 5 times 3 equals 15. 12 divided by 3 is 4, and x divided by x is just 1. Or remember, that's x to the 0, which is just 1, so that's a constant there. And that's how you write something in factored form. Go ahead and try that. All right, we're going to use our factoring to help us solve a problem here. It says a circle with radius r is cut from a square that has a side length of 3r. Write an expression in factored form for the shaded area. So the shaded area would be everything except the circle. And notice this is a square, so we can write 3r as the dimension. So the area of the square is, well, that's a rectangle, so it's length times width. So 3r squared is the area of the square, and then I'm just going to subtract the area of the circle, and the area of the circle is pi r squared. Now we want to write this in factored form. Let's go ahead and multiply this out first. 3r squared is the same as 9r squared, the quantity 3r squared, minus pi times r squared. And we want to factor out the greatest common factor here. And notice both of these have r squared as a factor. So we're going to write r squared there. And then think about what number times r squared equals 9r squared, or really we're just dividing each of those by r squared. So, and that equals 9 minus, those cancel, and that's 5. So in factored form, it looks like that. All right, you try that. All right, that's it for the lesson. Go ahead and do the lesson check, and we'll talk about this next time we meet in class.